The key thing for us on 600 hertz is, at the moment, because this is the first time for us to see this product. I saw it in Korea around 6 months ago, and the first thing I said was, okay, explain 600 hertz to me. The way it was explained is by each individual frame. It's looking at the frame rates going forward, and then making sure that we put that frame rate in, because we know what's going to be happening. It's almost like one step behind, if you like. We're looking at those frames ahead and making sure we put extra those subfields in for each individual frame. So at 50 frames, if we're adding in 12 subfields, it works out to be 600 hertz television. Now, the response time on plasma is 0.001 on a 100 hertz panel. All of our TVs in the first half are 100 hertz plasma TV, and it's only certain other competitor models that do have 100 hertz technology on their plasmas. And the key advantage for us is the fact that we will be able to communicate the products to have significantly improved response time in comparison to the LCD. And it is unbelievable how the technology on LCD, even though it has been fantastic over the last 2 years with the likes of Full HD 100 hertz, Plasma's message against LCD has always been, but hang about, LCD, you can't give the same amount of black level and response time. So I know it's a critical part of 600 hertz. We haven't launched it yet, we haven't communicated it yet in the UK. And at the moment we're trying to find a way that A, doesn't confuse the hell out of people, B, we market it to make it simplified, to make it into a benefit that actually is tangible. But as you know, it's very difficult to show the difference between 0.001 response time, 100 hertz, and now 600 hertz. They all get independently tested for all the factory levels, and they show them a fast-moving object from left to right. But to the naked eye, it is sometimes very difficult. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. It is a very difficult technology to actually show the benefit of in store. But it is 600 hertz. It does have 12 subfields. Each individual frame it is looking ahead and putting those frames in. So the response time is improved, but it's quite a difficult one for us because we don't want to communicate something that's not making the television experience better. But we know that Panasonic are going with 200 hertz, but actually they've got 8 subfields on theirs. We have 12. I think there's already confusion online about the Panasonic 200 hertz. Our strategy and philosophy has never been about confusing the market. It's always been about features and benefits, and that's, like I touched on earlier, but that's the reason why we've launched the 32-inch plasma. That's the reason why we built in the hard disk drives into our televisions, because we know we want to give the clear features and benefits to them. 600 hertz is going to be an interesting one, how that goes. I guess only time will tell when you see in a 4 weeks' time when we launch the products and how we actually advertise it and how we market it. But point taken, it's going to be an interesting technology for us to communicate. I won't be, no. I won't be. I think, again, it could raise a complete stir in the market, and I don't think it's the right time for us to be doing that. We need to be seen as a brand that is providing, again, like I said, clear features and benefits. The last thing that I want to do is then communicate the products as infinite black level, and then someone saying, oh, ours is infinite +1, infinite +2. Where does it stop? I mean, we're very proud of the black levels that we can produce on our plasma TVs. We always have been. They are some of the best available in the market, but infinity black level, it's almost an impossible marketing to do that. It's quite similar to the whole contrast ratio thing, to be honest. I mean, 2 years ago, if you found a TV with a contrast ratio of 20,000 to 1, there'd be people wetting their pants over it. Now people have got 1 million to 1. All it's done is it's almost people now taking it with a pinch of salt. I think it's important to say with contrast ratio, there's a dynamic contrast ratio and there's the native contrast ratio. The dynamic contrast ratio can be tested in like certain different rooms independently that does provide million to 1. If you go from the blackest room and then you switch on the TV and it goes from the whitest white to the blackest black on one particular area of the screen, you can produce dynamic contrast levels of 1 million to 1. But as a native contrast ratio, I personally think that all manufacturers should be communicating the native contrast ratio. For everyday watching, what is the contrast ratio? That's what people want, not what certain elements of the TV can actually change. The one thing that will hold our hands up is that we've had no choice but to follow on contrast ratio, because we were losing sales in store on contrast ratio because people would put an LCD and a Panasonic, and it was Panasonic versus LG, put them all together and say, oh, can't really decide between these two. I really like the LG design, but look at the contrast ratio, it says it's this. Effectively, ours is exactly the same, but we would communicate as native and not dynamic. So we're losing market share and we're losing the energy to then put behind the marketing to then focus on bringing these type of models. So I'll be totally honest, we'll hold our hands up and we have put those dynamic contrast ratios now on, but we also communicate native. So if you look onto our website, you'll find that all of our TVs, we communicate both native and dynamic, because we firmly believe it's all about giving someone a benefit and explaining what they're going to get out of it, not just by bamboozling them with millions of figures and jargon, like some of our competitors do, to be honest. We want to make it clear, simple and easy, and that's the reason why we do research about the HD market, to try and make it easier for people to understand where we're coming from as a brand. The 6000 is our brand new 32-inch TV. I'm going to let you have a look at it and then see how you compare the actual two together. Because the module on the 6000 is identical to the one that we launched on 42 and 50-inch. The black level should be significantly enhanced on the PG7000. But as I say, I will not communicate it as infinity black level. Firstly, when watching a movie on plasma, the power consumption is considerably less than watching the same on LCD technology, because of the backlight is just beaming straight through. It's a very static power consumption. Whereas on the plasma, to produce that black level, it's effectively just like switching the lights off. There's no power going into it. The problem lies when you're watching bright images on a plasma TV, like a really bright white. The panel is having to work so hard to produce that light that the LCD light is basically just like switching the lights on and just letting that light go straight through the actual panel itself. So when you compare sport and movies power consumption is going to be considerably much better and improved on a plasma than on an LCD. However, for watching sport, whereas watching a football match, you've got the grass, it's going to be very green, it's going to be very bright. Because sometimes the power consumption will actually be much better on the LCD than what it would be on the plasma. But it's all swings and roundabouts, depends what people watch. And one of the things that our competitors have actually marketed is the fact that power consumption, one's better than the other. I find it incredible how they actually do that, because how do they know what people are watching? For us, we just say that it all depends. If you watch a mixture of content across sport, movies, games, a wide variety, at the end it will even out, it'll balance them both itself off. But one thing that we're trying to work towards is actually getting our products independently tested for power consumption. At the moment, a lot of brands can actually quote their power consumptions without them being certified. All of our TVs go to Energy Saving, they test them, they put it onto their website, whatever they've tested it at. Dave's also got a power consumption test kit in the office as well, and he's whenever we bring a new product to market, he's always down there and just checking all the different power levels, and he comes up and he's all excited about the different power consumption of 42-inch plasma versus 42-inch LCD. And you know, it is an important part, but the most important part is that we communicate facts and let Energy Saving talk about power consumption, not LG. It should be done certified by an independent. If I scroll down from Vivid, Standard Cinema and go down to Expert One, you can now see that we have increased level of control in terms of what we're going to change on the actual product. In terms of fresh contrast, noise reduction, gamma levels, black levels, film mode, colour standard, white balance, red contrast, green contrast. To be perfectly honest, from a marketing perspective, this goes over the top of my head even. So this is where Dave comes into play with his technical know-how. But what we do know, however, from the market research is that the premium top-end consumers want to actually make the necessary changes to the actual product and how it works to make sure the optimal picture is going to be produced at every single stage. And having this technology built into the TV does give them the ultimate flexibility of alternating the actual product itself. It's good timing for the expert mode to come on, isn't it? I think the research we did was 90% of consumers, when they bought the TV, took it out of the box, plugged it in and left it. They don't do anything to it. They don't want to do anything to it. But it's important for us to then communicate that they need to optimise that based on the conditions, because everyone's got a different room setup. Everyone's got a different amount of light coming into their room. People might have windows there, people might have lights, that's a very bright room. It does need to have that option. So all of our TVs across the range, not just the top end models like the PG7000, every LCD and plasma within our range of this year, including the ones we launched in the first half, have expert mode or ISF mode built into the actual TVs itself.